Are you ready? Stand by.
Welcome to the Three Gun Show, brought to you by Armalite. This is episode 156, and I'm your host, Dave Hartman. My guests this week are Robyn Sandoval and Julianna Crowder of A Girl and a Gun, and we get to dive deep into their organization, the Brownell's Lady Multigun Fall Festival, and even touch on how to speak to the news media about guns. Before we get into the interview, I've mentioned a few times that I've started a Patreon account for the show. Patreon is a service that allows you as an individual to support me as a creator monetarily without the need for an intermediary like a network or something. Think of it like crowdfunding on a subscription basis. Now, if you like the Three Gun Show and you want to see it continue, you can support the show using Patreon. There are multiple levels, for example, like a $1, $2, $5 per month, and on up. Each with their own reward, and you can see those rewards at patreon.com/threegunshow. That's Patreon. Now, one of those levels is a private Facebook group, and this has been a ton of fun to have available to the patrons, and I'm really enjoying it myself. It's the first group that I check when I log into Facebook, and so if there's anything that any of the patrons are struggling with, or any questions or any jokes about any of the podcasts, I see that first. So if you're interested, check it out. Patreon.com/threegunshow. Now on to this week's podcast. I was really excited when I got the invite to check out A Girl and a Gun's Brownell's Lady Multigun Fall Festival, which is kind of a mouthful, but I thought it would be a neat experience, and good content for the show. But I was completely blown away by the camaraderie among many of these squads and how encouraging they were. It was cool to watch big groups of ladies, walking stages together and, following pros around and learning the best ways to shoot stuff. It was really cool. And I got to shoot with the staff, and the stages were great. Stages were awesome. Ton of fun there. There were a lot of opportunities for learning, clinics and classes and stuff like that. Plus they had a wine and cheese party after shooting, which I've never been to after a three-gun match, so that was kind of cool. It was just a really cool atmosphere to be in, and I hope to be a part of it in some way again next year. Be sure to listen after the show for a special offer from Armalite, and enjoy this one with Julianna Crowder and Robyn Sandoval. Ladies, welcome to the Three Gun Show.
Thank you.
Hi.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me out to this wonderful event you guys have. And I want the audience to get to know you, so we'll cover a little bit of background on you individually. But first, Julianna, thanks for having me here. This is great.
Well, it was kind of exciting when Christy Connor-Tate said, "Did you invite Dave Hartman?" And I'm like, I was scared to invite Dave Hartman. Would he come? Would he come to our match? I mean, because I see your all at matches. I thought maybe his schedule would be booked up, and I didn't ask. Mm-hmm. So I was like, "Can you squeeze this in?" She's like, "I got this." So it was great.
Yeah. So
I'm glad she made that happen for us.
I know Christy Connor-Tate is amazing, and she's she's always doing stuff like that. So she
told me next year that we're gonna have 300 women here, and
is that right?
Yeah, that's what she said. So.
How many women are here now?
We had 120 women,
okay.
And she said next year our goal is 300, and I said a word, and I said okay. So that, and I told her, and she said a word. I told Robyn, and she was
my word was probably no.
And I was like, okay, we're gonna have to have a new strategy for next year, but it gave us a goal to work towards.
Very cool. Well, and she's constantly pushing stuff like that too, right?
She's excellent for getting just bringing women in.
Yeah.
She was brought in a very warm and compassionate way, and was inspired just to do the same. So she's
very
a
cool.
Great advocate.
Well, for the audience listening, we're at the Brownell's Lady Multigun Fall Festival presented by Red Stitch Targets, and you ladies are with A Girl and a Gun, and we're going to learn a little bit about that today. Robyn, thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Happy to have you.
I'm glad you're here.
This is cool. So, hey, first of all, I got to say, like, this is, like, completely unlike any other match I've been to, right? So, When I came, you guys had like a name tag for me on a bag, and there's like T-shirt inside and all kinds of cool stuff and pens and paper to write my stage plans on. But I gotta ask, what am I supposed to do with this?
Did you get eyeliner?
You got okay. So we had at our national conference in April. We have
This is leftover.
We have an event that hosts the 350 plus women, and they come to Texas for 3 to 5 days of training, and we have obviously a whole bunch of other sponsors and stuff that deal with that. And so Avon, we had an Avon rep that gave us sample products for every swag bag.
Right.
And so you got an eyeliner.
I know.
So what happened was,
You guys have to show me how to use that later. I don't know what to do with it.
I had some extra swag bags left over from that event that just had a lot of really cool stuff in it that we did not have for this match. So I set them up for our staff to have just
Cool.
something
Extra
special,
goodies.
extra
Yeah.
goodies for our staff, because we really just love to do that. And I completely forgot that the eyeliner was in there. That cracks me up. So yeah, we will show you how
Yeah.
to use
Yeah.
that.
I'm gonna need some lessons on that.
Yeah, we can do your eyes for later for the banquet.
Sweet. Well, for the pictures, right?
That's right.
Awesome. Well, so let's talk about A Girl and a Gun. Let's start there. This is, a match that's run by your larger organization. There's much more involved into it other than just one match.
Yeah.
So
we
what is
are,
A Girl and a Gun?
Well, Girl and a Gun started as a grassroots effort for my business as a firearms instructor. I was really struggling to get more females to come to me for training, even though I was very well known in Austin as a firearms instructor. I just wasn't seeing the female client base coming to the ladies only classes or participating in the local shooting matches that I was participating in. I had husbands saying, gosh, I wish my wife would participate, or just those typical kinds of comments. So I really started thinking, why am I having trouble gathering these women? And I identified all their no's. They either didn't have the time, they didn't have the money, they were disinterested because they just expected Superman to be there for them, or they thought they knew enough. They're like, I know how to shoot, I'm fine. So, or I carry pepper spray, or I'm not afraid, I'm a big girl. And which is a really wonderful attitude, but knowing that, if you don't practice and if you don't work your craft and when you need it, it's, really going to fail you. So
Right.
I was doing a lot of business-to-business networking and happy hours, and going to someone's boutique for a networking event was extremely popular. And I thought, well, I'm going to have a networking event at the gun range. And
Cool.
I had a girls' night out. I brought my guns, I brought my ammo. I advertised it to all my business networking girlfriends and buddies, and not one of them showed up.
Oh, really?
But 5 other ladies. One was my friend. Somebody saw a flyer I posted at the range. Somebody brought somebody from church. I had 5 ladies show up on February 28th of 2011. And I had my very first girls' night out. They had a blast, and it was no pressure. I'll show you how to shoot. We're going to have fun. We went for dinner and drinks afterwards, and they said, when are we doing this again? I
Sweet.
said, 2 weeks. So 2nd and 4th Mondays was my night to be at the range for girls' night out. And within 6 months, I had just gained traction, north of Austin with what I was doing. And IDPA wrote an article about me in their tactical journal. And all of a sudden I had other women like me saying, I really like what you're doing. I don't want to recreate the wheel. Can I just join you? So from February to September, we formed a chapter-based organization, and I added 4 chapters.
Wow.
In the state of Texas. And then by our 1-year anniversary, we went national. And then I realized I needed help. And Robyn had been one of the girls that I met through my girls' night out, and she made the mistake of telling me that she did website design and she was in marketing, and I needed help I was in a crisis and I needed some help. And she reluctantly added me into her client list, and then something happened and she became my business partner. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And it was the best thing that happened to the organization, because what she's brought to it is why we do what we do today.
Yeah, so I was at her 3rd girls' night out.
Yeah.
And I was a brand new shooter. I didn't know what I was doing. I was terrified to go. My husband saw her, heard about a girls' night out at the range. I guess he saw a flyer or something. And he went and looked Julianna up on Facebook, and he said, she's not a little skinny mini. She's a normal person. You're going to like her. She seems friendly. I RSVP'd for you to go. And I almost had a heart attack. And so I went. I didn't know how to shoot. I was terrified of shooting. I was terrified of meeting other women. I was terrified of looking stupid. And I went and I kind of pretended to know what I was doing. She gave me some pointers, and you know, every 2 weeks I would go back and learn more, and ended up, you know, becoming good friends with these girls and learning so much. And it was such a great environment as a new shooter to ask those questions, like how do you talk to your children about guns, and how do you get into competition, and how do you get your carry license, and those kinds of conversations were just made easy. And you know, it was just a really natural progression, you know, to learn more.
So what started for me as something to help me build my business really turned into my community heart mission, because now all of a sudden I had a whole new, you know, circle of friends, plus I had a whole new circle of clients. You know, it just kind of happened that way. And it's almost like you could compare it to like Bunko or book club, you know, because we're getting together regularly and we're doing things socially together, even outside the gun range. It was a happy surprise, you know, that we created this whole new community. And yeah, I mean, what she said, we deal with women all the time that are afraid to come because they don't know what to expect and if they're going to be welcomed in.
Yeah. And they understand, you know, I can really relate to that journey, and they see where I've come from, and they have a lot of similar questions. So we already know how to address them, and we know how to, you know, address their fears before they even arrive. So we tell them, here's what you wear, here's where you go, here's how you don't look stupid. And they really appreciate that, and it makes them feel safe. So we really try to make that a welcoming message, so that all are welcome. If you just want to learn, if you're afraid, we try to break all the barriers that they may have to come into a girls' night out. So they may be curious about wanting to learn, or someone in their life, their husband or their dad or their uncle, is encouraging them to learn to shoot, and they don't really know where to start. Right. So we try to remove all the barriers. So we say, you don't have to have a gun. We've got, you know, most of our ranges have loaner programs, and our instructors have guns. You don't have to know anything. All of our facilitators are certified instructors. So we really remove a lot of the obstacles to make, you know, learning to shoot approachable for a lot of women who didn't really know where to start.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that concept. So Julianna, I think maybe I told you this a couple years ago when I met you in Rocky Mountain. My home range that was like involved in where I used to work, we had a ladies' night like every other Monday, and it was just like a basic pistol match, like defensive pistol kind of thing, like kind of reminiscent of NRA defensive pistol. But it was ladies only could shoot, and unfortunately we didn't have like a cadre of female instructors or anything, so it was me and 2 or 3 other dudes, depending on who was able to go, and we would do the same thing. We would, you know, welcome anyone who would come. You can use our guns, you can use our ammo and stuff like that, and it was amazing to watch the camaraderie
what we're doing is not necessarily a new concept, because absolutely, I mean, there's been gun clubs and male instructors across the country doing this for years. And so one of the things that we did run into when we were kind of a young organization, and every once in a while we do, is that we get a guy that is qualified, and sometimes, you know, may or may not be, but they want to participate with us, and they don't understand why we say we really want to be ladies only, even in the instructors, for specific events like Girls Night Out, is because of the conversations we're having. I mean, it's not just going to the line and teaching somebody to shoot. I mean, we're talking sometimes very intimate, personal details about our lives, our bodies, our, you know, things that
abilities and disabilities, past
that
experiences,
maybe a
fears.
male instructor, may not understand. Some of them do. I mean, I've worked with some extremely fabulous male instructors that do understand those things, but on a normal level, we're speaking different languages.
Yeah, and I always knew where to be like, I think you need to ask her, because I don't know how to.
Right, you're like, how do I move this?
Yeah, the belt that I'm wearing is not going to work for you.
Exactly. Right. So, where we have been successful is we say we just want some girl time. We just need some girl time at Girls Night Out and few of our events, and then where we kind of push them out of the nest and integrate ourselves back into community is when we go to local matches, when we tell them to go to regular, you know, training classes, sign up, when we invite our instructors to come to conference or, you know, events like this, so that we can say we are still part of community. It's just a couple of nights a month. We just want to hang out as girls.
Because that's a normal roadmap. You know, when someone comes in, they're at a local range and they're in a comfortable environment and they start shooting static targets. Well, then we
They
you
get
know, that's
bored
fun
and-
for a while. So let's get you moving and shooting. Let's get you out and doing competition. Let's, you know.
So by the time that we are pushing them out of the nest into shooting community, they are already confident and they assimilate better and they're welcomed a little bit easier. And so, yeah, we love our guys. Guys are really important for, you know, for us to support us in what we do. We can't, I mean, we don't do anything
Yeah.
without the support of our husbands and our colleagues. So,
That's great.
and they are very understanding that they don't want to, they are very happy to be like, girls night, bye.
That's good. We need boys' night too, right?
Absolutely.
So-
No, totally agree. Everybody, you know, guys need guy time, girls need girl time. And that's, I think, is really just a lot of the times when people get upset about a ladies only night or, you know, what if there was a guys only match? I'm all for it. If you guys wanted to have an all dudes match, I'd be like, that is awesome camaraderie between.
Most matches are all dude matches.
Right. But if, let's just say, a conversation, you know, that was had a few months ago, if there was to be an all dudes match, there would be a lot of criticism. And I feel badly about that because we promote all women events,
Right.
and I would never want to take that away from guys needing, you know, time together. And because we do have opportunities to shoot at any match we want to go to. But if y'all wanted to do a boys retreat, I'm all about it. Do it.
All right.
He's thinking, what kind of boy
Boys-
stuff could we do?
What kind of boy stuff are we
You
gonna
won't get
do?
eyeliner in your swag
No,
bag.
you will not get eyeliner.
Get your butt kicked for that.
That's awesome.
Well, so if someone's interested in like the girls' night out, what can they expect when they go to one of your events?
If they're a brand new shooter, they can expect a safety brief of, you know, the basic rules. They can expect a brief overview on the 5 steps of marksmanship, especially with pistol, because that's what we generally do, because it's easy and, you know, attainable at most ranges. They can expect to have a mentor or a coach nearby them. They will not be sent out necessarily by themselves. They can expect anything from casual fun night to an organized speaker.
And that's the thing, that every chapter is different. Every chapter kind of has the unique personality of that facilitator and that community. So, you know, we're from Austin. It's kind of a laid back town. Our girls, you know, we go over safety brief, we shoot, we go have dinner and drinks. Whereas in other communities that are a little more structured up in the north, in the, you know, the Midwest, they have classroom time. They have, you know, those girls are standing targets in hand. One group comes in, one group comes out. They switch. It's very organized, and that
Well, 'cause
works for
they're
that community.
And it's also they're working around their facility size. You know,
Sure.
if you only have 5 bays, you have to be very organized and on your agenda. Where if we have, you know, a whole bunch of space, we can
Yeah, and
shoot
some are
shoot
indoor ranges, some are
Right.
tactical. So the opportunities for them to do different things, it really varies by the facility and by the community.
Oh, that's cool.
And then that's what also makes it very unique is that we do have an organizational guideline. We have, you know, standards and procedures, but we allow that individual personality of, you know, that chapter to dictate their activities, when they meet, how often they meet. It gives a lot of freedom because then another facilitator across the country can be like, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea. So we have this whole
Very
we have-
collaborative network
we
of,
have
of instructors.
100 instructors that are collaborating on how they are encouraging their girls, how they're, you know, keeping their credentials up as instructors. So it's really amazing to see just the leaders, how they grow, and then how our membership base is benefiting from it.
Well, that's really cool because then you get like the best practices from all over the country. You guys can mold those
Absolutely.
into and take away and spread it amongst your other chapters. I like that idea.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of pressure off of Robyn and I because, you know, we're kind of the leaders of this, and we want to make sure that we are setting a great example and that we're, you know, giving these ladies a platform. And then all of a sudden you turn around, you see somebody with this fabulous idea, and you're like, I'm so grateful that I have this resource in my organization that I don't have to be the one that always knows everything.
Yeah, it's a really supportive group. I'm really proud of the ladies that are part of us, and
You're going to get all mushy.
I know I will.
We're gonna
I'm
get-
really proud of them.
We're gonna
But
get
it's so
the
great to
plump-
see, you know, these ladies who, you know, someone may want to try the Winchester marksmanship program, and 5 other ladies will say, I've tried it. Here's the best way. This is really great. This is how you encourage your girls. And it's just so many people have these great ideas and experiences. And we have, the creative types who come out with the snowman targets and everybody prints them. And, you've got so many different people with different talents.
We have a few chapters that are kind of blingy girls, and they've started doing charm bracelets and stuff for different achievements. And these ladies, I mean, they are seriously creative. I mean, they've got these charms that I did not even know existed for shooting sports and firearms and bullets. And I'm like, where'd you get? And they're literally creating their badge of honor that they can wear out in a necklace or a bracelet by coming to events and earning a charm.
That's cool. And then it's like a conversation starter amongst their friends.
Yeah.
To bring more people into the organization.
Yep.
How cool is that?
Brag bracelets.
Brag bracelets. It's going to be a thing.
It is a thing. She just said it. It's
trademark it.
It's a thing now.
I like it. So when did you guys decide, we're going to put on a big match, and why 3-gun?
Well, we're about 6.5 years into our organization, and I started it half because I wanted to teach women how to shoot, but I was also very involved, with IDPA and USPSA and working matches and seeing that there was just no women there. And so I really felt a strong connection to our competitive shooting sports and wanted to be different, that if I was going to be bringing women in, I wanted to bring them in not only for self-defense because I'm a licensed carry instructor, but I wanted to show them the fun side. So I wrote the mission statement, to reflect that we are a shooting sport, recreational organization. And I lost my train of thought. What was the question?
Getting him into competition
No, we
shooting.
started this because, Julianna's really started this whole organization to get women off the sidelines of their lives because she was competing.
Right.
But there were a lot of ladies there, but they were watching or they were helping out, but they weren't shooting. And so, we started having our biggest event is conference. We have our national conference, and we have about 400 people on site taking training classes on every topic you can think of. And a lot of those classes are competitive based, but to have a match is a little bit, it's a whole different animal, and creating the competitive nature and the stages and all of that.
I just remembered the question, how we got started on this. I'm sorry. I went down a rabbit hole and I got lost. So how did we get to this major match? So through me working USPSA Multigun Nationals and meeting the 10 women that were at that match, Diana Mueller was there. I remember meeting Jessie Duff, and I met Kay Michalik, and I was starstruck by these women. And here I am, just trying to get more women to shoot, and I'm seeing these female, competitive professional shooters, and I'm like, there's only 10. There's like one squad, and it's like I have a goal now. I have a mission. So I was very fortunate to meet these women and them mentor me, and how I can just go home and get more women. And then it just grew to more exposure, more relationships, more opportunities. And I said, hey, ladies, will you come, teach? Will you teach for us, or will you help me? And, Denise at Rocky Mountain 3-Gun, she helped us put on our first 3-Gun university. Because I was just holding retreat weekends and getting women out to shoot, over the course of a weekend. And she put on clinics, and she put on a mini match for us, and I was able to put together a price table to say, here is what an experience could be, here is a sample experience. And that was so successful. We had almost 40 women come that first year, and they couldn't wait to do it again. So she hosted us a second year for 3-Gun University, and it dawned on us that we're running a match,
right? Not
just a training event, not just a conference with speakers, but we were running a match.
And it also gave them a goal. If we can do 3-Gun University in the spring, and then they can learn the fundamentals and get their skills and get their gear, and then practice so that in the fall they can really compete.
And we chose Multigun because it's it was very hot sport right now. We have a lot of support from our pro instructors that want to see us succeed. So it was just kind of the easiest match for us to put on because it did just have so much popularity. And if you were partial to your shotgun, there's a reason to come. If you're partial to your pistol, there's a reason to come. And so these ladies actually started having to cross-learn firearms because they wanted to participate at some level. So we kind of did something sneaky and didn't even realize it. And really, people were just saying, so when are you really going to do the big match? And I was like, oh, wow. So we jumped on board.
We jumped in.
I called Nick right away, and I said, I need a home. And
Nick Noble,
Rockcastle
Shooting Center.
Shooting Center. I said, I need a home. There's no place else I'd rather do it than here because I love this place. And he has done everything to make this a successful event for us.
They're really supportive of what we do. He says that he enjoys seeing families come out and be involved, and we're really grateful for his support.
So we've, we talked to our sponsors and we said, are you on board? And we had a wonderful, overwhelming support. And we had Mike and Nancy Oberman that organized to make sure we had steel. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big barrier. If you ain't got nothing to shoot at, you ain't got a match.
It's true.
And so we were very grateful to Andy Horner for, lending us some steel, and Red Stitch Targets jumped on board. And before you know it, other people were lending us, stuff, and we built a match. And we got 100 women to come. And it was a little scary because they didn't know what to expect. We kind of weren't sure because, our culture is very different. And if you're not a Girl and a Gun member, or if you haven't really worked with us, we are an odd animal because we are not a normal 3-gun match, or we just do things differently.
What makes it odd?
Our culture. We're just I don't know, Robyn. You want to say something?
We're welcoming. We embrace women of all ages, sizes, abilities. So we kind of give permission to women to come out and try. Women who may not go to a match or be fearful of looking stupid.
And I don't want to say that other 3-gun matches are not like that because we know that's the furthest thing from the truth. We know
It can
that
be intimidating, though.
It can be intimidating
from the outside.
When
you get there, you realize how welcoming people can be.
So our whole core mission, if we go back to Girls Night Out, of just saying, here is we're
going to break down the barriers and we're going to walk you through it.
So if I can get women to come to this match and we're going to give them a reality of what they're missing. We didn't dumb down this match.
It's a very challenging match.
Last year was a physical match. There was a lot of movement. This year, it's a very technical match. There's a lot of targets.
Yeah.
There's less movement this year, but there's, more thoughtful things in strategies. So we're trying to give them a taste of what's out there, and say, guess what? If you can do it here, you can do it at any of these other majors and locals. And we did have women that came out last year and shot, and now they're regulars.
Yeah, we had a lot of new shooters last year, and I think this year we had about 20 new. This is their first major match.
One gal, she got a scholarship because she's military or law enforcement. We had Ranger Proof give out 5 scholarships. And we said, hey, is anybody military or law enforcement would be interested in shooting Fall Fest? And so the assumption is that they understood what this was. And when they said, hey, put my name in the hat, and this wonderful gal said, I'm going to come. And she showed up, and she really has never shot or has any experience. And so Heather Miller and Jana Reeves and Di Mueller, they have been working with her.
Cool.
And this chick is getting through this match, and she's being safe and she's being successful. And we just developed a brand new shooter on accident.
But that's what's so great. And you've seen it when you're out at the stages. Everybody's cheering for each other. Everybody wants everyone to succeed. It's not as competitive. People really want you to do your best.
The girls are clapping. We get a kick out of that. They cheer for each other.
It's great. So I got to shoot with staff, which was a ton of fun, by the way. And when some people made it to the top of the tower that you had to climb, they got cheers. And then when they hit a target, they got cheers. I didn't get any cheers, by the way. But.
Well, it's because we are truly happy and proud of the accomplishment we just saw another person do. And it makes us happy that we see that.
And it was absolutely genuine, too. Like you said, it wasn't, forced or, phoning in the clap kind of thing. Just the
No, I think people get the genuineness of this crowd, and like I've always said, it's Julianna and I are real people. We're not trying to be tactical pro shooters. We're not trying to be gun bunnies. We're just real and approachable, and so many people relate to us, and everyone has their own personal goals that they set and their own personal insecurities about, well, can I get up the tower? Well, you made it, girl. Let's cheer for you. Whatever your obstacle is or what's holding you back, we'll help you get past that.
Right. Well, and so there's some other unique things about the match. One is scoring. 2 is there's like squad moms, and I even saw some squad dads. Is that what you call them?
Well, of course, I don't know. We were talking about this, that
Mm-hmm.
in 3-gun, there's not necessarily squad moms.
Yeah.
It's kind of a foreign concept. So again, my roots of competitive shooting come from IDPA.
Yeah.
And when you work at nationals with them, they assign a squad mom. It's like just an extra RO that is on the staff, and it's also a liaison, a concierge, if you will,
Right.
just to keep squad moving, make sure everybody knows where they're supposed to be,
And then they
be
follow
that
the
host.
squad around.
Yes. So our squad moms are the third RO. They're a traveling RO. They fill in at every stage as needed. So that way we know our stages are fully staffed,
Mm-hmm.
and our squads have someone they know that they can go to, check in with. So we
Mhm.
create a familiarity with
Yeah,
that.
because they're with them all.
They're with them
all
the whole
weekend.
entire time. So that's really important to me. One, to make sure that we're fully staffed, and two, that we have somebody on the stage, because we do have so many new shooters,
Mm-hmm.
that they're not getting lost, that they're not forgetting an important part of their gear. If they have a specific question, that they have someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
So
And they don't feel silly doing it because that person is designated to answer those questions.
to be their helper.
Mhm.
So that was really important to me. And my match administration had a hard time wrapping their brain around that, because it's not something they're familiar with. So that's another reason why it makes us unique, because we think differently. And then
Mhm.
about our scoring,
Yeah, our scoring, a lot of the competitors are, you'll hear a lot of moans and
Mhm.
whines about it, because, our philosophy is we can't ask you to train to use your firearm to protect your life Monday through Friday, and then on Saturday, spray and pray. So
Right.
we say speed and accuracy matters every day of the week. So we want to encourage you to be fast and accurate,
Right.
for self-defense and for competition, even though it's a different mindset. We want you to really hone those skills.
I mean, we talk about if for any reason you have to use your firearm for self-defense, you better make sure that round hits your intended target,
Yep.
because of the consequences.
Mhm.
And so for me and my husband, we run our local match back home, and we have the same rules. And it's hard when there's a norm and we're an outlaw match, and
Mhm.
our rules are different. So, and again, we only host one match a year, and these ladies aren't, a lot of the ones that are in the regular circuit may or may not go to a match that's scored paper.
It's challenging.
But
Yeah.
it changes the game for them too, and I would hope that that they
In a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to go back and shoot IDPA or USPSA, points matter. So we want the points to matter here in our 3-gun world as well.
Yeah, so it's funny because this was a last minute trip for me, so I didn't obviously read that part of the rule book.
You were
So-
surprised?
Yeah, when
You missed the shooter brief on that.
yeah, I did actually, because I had come in late the night before, so I was unfortunately I slept through the first two stages,
You're
but
like, so funny story.
yeah, it was great. So I think it was the third stage that we had shot. It was at the bathhouse. I saw the scorekeeper going through and counting. I'm like,
Uh-oh.
what are you doing?
You're like, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like after I had shot, and I just blazed through the bathhouse part of it and just threw 2 rounds at everything rather than taking aim shots, and was like, oh, this is a different game than I thought it was.
Right. And I mean, and if you are proficient with your firearm, which we know, so many people are, it's I would almost want a pride thing. Because you know what, for if you're going to play the game of it's just as fast as we can go, and as long as we, you touch the target, that's okay. But again, because of our philosophy so deeply ingrained in training, in procedure, in safety, in the legality of if you have to use your firearms for self-defense, we want to give you an opportunity to put all of those skills into play, even though it's a game.
But it's still a stressed induced
stressed-
environment. You're
Yeah.
under the clock. It does kind of mimic what real life could be.
So
Yeah,
that's
and it's cool because the people that come up through your programs know that, right? And that's part of their training. And then the people that come from the 3-gun world and maybe don't shoot a lot of a girl and a gun type matches, it's a completely different game for them, and now they have to
And I
reset
think it's a challenge because
It is.
they know each other so well. They know where each other's strengths and weaknesses are. So on
Mhm.
this, I think it's a little more of a challenge. I think there's a little more of a wild card on who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I like that sort of part of it. So you guys have a number of other programs involved in this weekend, and that's one of the major things I noticed is like this is not just like a match. Come here, do whatever you want.
We have so many variables that we deal with the competitors, the participants that are coming. Again, if you're a brand new shooter and you missed Three Gun University, or maybe your chapter doesn't have a strong competitive shooting club that they can learn from in a monthly level, these ladies are coming in here and they had the opportunity to take pro clinics on specific topics with pistol, rifle, shotgun, so that they were prepared for what they were going to experience in the match. So some ladies came in 2 days early.
Not everybody has access to, hang out with Aaron Hayes for 3 hours and tap his brain on,
every other weekend at a match somewhere, or hang out with Ashley at a local match. So
these ladies came with like life-changing time with these pro shooters. Even everything they said, one girl said, they were doing some pistol drills with Ashley Rourke, and they asked her, well, can we see you shoot it? And, she burned it down, and they just seeing her do it, they didn't even know what good could be.
Yes.
It lets them see.
And
that is a huge thing in
what else?
Three-Gun, and that's why you squad with better people,
They saw her miss, too. Because she was pressure was on there, and she shot, and she had a real life boo-boo. And it was like, see, it even happens to her. And so there's learning opportunities everywhere.
Yeah, so you had pistol skills with Ashley Rourke, and then you had, I'm guessing Aaron did some shotgun clinic.
Aaron
and Jana Reeves and
did the shotgun clinics.
Di
and
Heather
Diana,
Miller.
Did the rifle work, and then Tina Martin-Nims did a gear class, and she also did a Know Your Dope. So we talked about optics.
Very cool.
So she specialized just on how to understand what you're looking at and read your optic.
And I heard great things about all those classes from a lot of your competitors too. It sounded like they really enjoyed them.
Well, when we bring in the best staff, I mean, we are
I'm jealous that I'm not down there in those classes.
I know.
I'm like, tell me everything she said.
Right.
So you've put on this great match, and knowing this is going to happen for a year in advance, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and last minute, in the national news is a very tragic event that happened in Las Vegas, where someone used the things that we use for sporting for fun to inflict pain and kill people.
Right. And we all know that there's been other mass shootings before, and every time it happens, there's a collective sigh in our community, and we've done other interviews and pieces on the topic of Second Amendment and why do we need these guns, and now a very intense focus on the AR-15. I'm just pleased that they're actually calling it an AR-15 this time.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how the terminology got flipped for this, but all of a sudden they're calling it by the right name. So if that's
progress.
That's progress in the conversation.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what the ulterior motive is, though, because it is the politicians and the news media. So now they're calling it an AR-15. So we can't just say, well, it's not really an assault rifle. It's an AR-15.
Right.
So you wonder if they're
prepping for
banning an AR-15. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where I was going with that was, you put in all this work. We've known this was coming for months and months and months, and then at the very last minute, CBS wants to come here, and what we would assume, us being people that have been in the firearms industry for quite a while and have lived through some shit, is that they want to use your event, your empowering thing, your joyous occasion to paint us in a bad light. So what do you do when you get that call?
We don't shy away. And that's one thing is when given the opportunity to share what we do, we take the chance because we want our voice to be heard. We can't all just cower behind someone else will do the talking. So we wanted to show these empowered women who are getting training, and it's a positive community. We want that to be shown.
When CNN called years ago, when MSNBC called years ago, when the Australia Today show called, I took the interview and everyone said, don't do it. They're gonna paint you in a bad light. And what I did was I got mentored. I learned how to really know my mission, know my narrative, stick to my plan on what I wanted my voice to be. And we have been very lucky that they have done right by us. And I was confident that we would have the same experience with CBS because we know our message, and when we tell them the message, they really can't spin it. And I know some tricks of the trade of we record everything we say to them. So if they do try to turn it around, I will post exactly what I said, and they know it.
And that's important, right? That accountability. And it in our modern time of like having a 4K
Right.
camera on your phone,
Right.
it's very important to use that tool to protect ourselves.
Right. So I am protecting myself, and I'm accepting the risk that they're going to do right by us. And I feel CBS did a good job.
Yeah. I was completely blown away. I watched it this morning on the internets, and I was super surprised.
And they interviewed Robyn with the two other participants, and they interviewed me separately. And you never know what their how the story is going to take place. You kind of think based on what they're doing and how the producers talk to you. And I think Robyn was really shocked that I was not included in the piece, and I was completely prepared for it because the things I said in my interview were somewhat related to the topic that they were wanting.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, you want to talk real? Let's talk real. And they couldn't use it probably.
Really?
I mean,
What was your real talk?
Well, my real talk was, what was the questions about, is ARs for civilian use? And I said, absolutely. The reasons are conservationism. Everybody wants a green planet. Part of having a green planet is having a healthy ecosystem. Having a healthy ecosystem means we need hunters. Hunters need rifles to hunt. I said, we have self-defense in time of civil unrest. What would be a great tool? My rifle. Because I don't want to get that close to the threat. Sport. My sport would go away if I didn't have this rifle. I gave them 3 very valid reasons why having these, firearms just for civilian use are okay. And then I said, if you want to take away, look at our European neighbors, look at Australia that have such strict gun laws. They have
Other kinds of violent
They
crime.
have, the high knife violence, right? So if you take away the gun, you go to the knife. Take away the knife, they go to the baseball bat. Take away the baseball bat, you go to the U-Haul truck. Take away the U-Haul truck, you go to the airplane. And I'm starting to see their faces, the colors draining from their face. and I just ended it. I said, you cannot legislate morality.
It's very true.
And
they're like, all right, it's a wrap. Let's go.
Well, throw away that tape.
And exactly, because, that's not what they can use.
Right.
What they did use, what they did take from Our Ladies, I was very happy that.
Basically, the narrative they showed was that people who were once fearful of guns got training, now feel empowered, and now use them for sport and self-defense and many other uses. And that was kind of the
conversion of heart.
Those were like the bookends, right?
Yeah.
And then in the middle, of course, they're like, oh, the AR-15 is...
But, they said that they tried to find a professor at UK or somewhere around here who would refute us. And when they told them that it was women and guns, that nobody had anything bad to say about us. And so they had to go back to old footage.
Score!
And they did. They went all the way back to the Vietnam War. It was like black and white. Well, I think the women and guns being a defensible position that people don't want to attack is very important to
I think it's important
cause.
For us too to show women in this light, because so often the stereotype still exists of the typical American gun runner who's usually white and a guy and
middle to late age,
wearing plaid,
right?
So when they see
camel pants.
when I say I'm just a regular mom, I'm at the school, you see me in the pickup lines, and then all of a sudden it becomes a whole different narrative,
right? Because everybody knows a mom. Everybody has a mom.
Right. And we're not any different from any other woman out there.
Yeah, it's easy to hate another group, right? Those rednecks that are,
someone you can't
It's really hard to
relate
hate your grandma.
Well, yeah,
really
because
hard.
exactly, because everybody has a grandma, everybody has a mom. So those are two relatable individuals' characters that you can create in people's minds.
And every time there's something bad that happens, and the last really bad thing that happened was Pulse. Our mission shifted. We still have our mission of getting women in competitive shooting sports, but so many women find us in the first place because they're interested in self-defense because they literally don't know about the other side. So our mission was actually able to shift a little bit. And this year, I mean, we've always done it before, but this year at National Conference, TAC Med really became important. How to survive,
close quarter encounters.
and what is Robyn has the best thing that she says now, and you are
you're your own first responder.
Yeah.
And that's so important because, after the Pulse, every time this happens, it's kind of a wake-up call for you to tap into training you may have had, but you may not be using every day.
And people shelter in place, which means now they victim in place.
Right. And after Pulse, I took a class because I saw someone on the news who had, he was being hailed as a hero, and he said, all I did was open a door. I saw there was a fire exit, and I pushed people out. And I didn't want to be the person who was standing there, deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the person knowing my exit and getting out.
Yep.
And so sometimes you have to remind people. And so that's why I took an opportunity after the Vegas incident to remind people, know your exits, carry a tourniquet, use your TAC medicine. And, it's just a good reminder for everybody to kind of be their own first responder, to not be trapped in a situation, but also know if there's a door, go through it. Who cares if it says...
Or pick up a tool of opportunity and defend yourself. And so that allowed us to now bring in a whole nother set of instructors that have been teaching this stuff for years that people just passed off as non-important.
Right.
And now this is a new normal for us, unfortunately. These are, we have earthquake drills in California. You got tornado drills, in Midwest. You teach your kids how to look both ways before they cross the street. This is now part of the American experience, is that we need to know how to evacuate in a time of crisis.
And we also, that's some of the things we talk about at conference, but we give knife classes, we give unarmed defense classes, we do improvised devices. If you don't have anything, grab a fire extinguisher. We do, what are some of the other ones? A flashlight. A lot of people are using tactical flashlights to blind or to, illuminate their target. So there's a lot of skills that are involved in self-defense that are not necessarily firearms related, but just about being aware.
And then we tie it all together by saying, you've taken the time, you've invested the money, you've learned all this stuff, and to keep it fresh, go shoot competitive shooting, sports, because that's keeping you manipulating your firearms. That's keeping your accuracy going.
Time.
That's your trigger time. So
gets your brain moving too. It's a problem to solve.
Yes, the two really just need each other. The self-defense and the competitive shooting really do have a place together. Even though we're playing a game, it all will relate back.
Yeah, and I really enjoy the game, and a lot of on the show I compartmentalize things, right? Like I don't talk about self-defense topics because I'm not a self-defense instructor anymore. I don't,
it's not your
cover
focus.
Like no, and I like the game so much that that's what I want to cover, right? But I do recognize as an individual that those skills do translate over. The time I would need to use a rifle for whatever reason, I would be way more proficient than someone who doesn't shoot competition.
When the zombies are coming.
And competitive shooters are so safety conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And you can definitely tell the difference when you're in a gun store of
you
can tell who's a competitive
You can tell
shooter.
a difference when you see someone's kids on Facebook, whether their kids have trigger discipline.
Yeah.
Their fingers are off their Nerf gun triggers.
Yes.
Yeah. I like I'm pretty bad at this. I shouldn't give away my secret, but when there is like a new shooter like Super Green, but he shows up wearing something camouflage, I stand behind the scorekeeper because I don't want a gun pointed at me. So it's a fact. I've seen it like too many times. Like the folks that are
because they don't know. They think that's
also
they think that's okay.
Well,
a lot of times I think men think, oh, I can just jump in.
Yep.
I've got the Y chromosome. I'm good.
Which is true, right? We can do anything.
Well, that's one great thing is that our women are not afraid to just be sponges and learn everything they can. So I think that we typically have safe matches because we have women who are really conscious of listening and learning, and that's.
Well, to go back to a story I was telling you earlier, when we had ladies' night, the other Monday night was anyone could come.
Mm-hmm.
And so as part of being an instructor for both of those, I had to teach men, I had to teach women. And who do you think I like teaching much better? It was the people that listened to me, which was the women,
Right.
And
well, on the flip side, I have a lot of guy clients, and you would think that would be odd because there's a certain vulnerability of learning firearms. Well, guess what? They can be vulnerable because it's
Yeah, you don't have to be tough,
They
right?
do not have to be tough in front of me.
Nope.
So it's just
Oh,
like
that's
a
interesting.
woman can ask her questions. A guy can let his guard down and say, you know what, you know more about this than I do. Tell me if I'm doing wrong, and when I correct them, I'm correcting them, and it's not a macho slap.
Right.
It's
It's not like, hey, you're less of a man because you have your finger on the trigger. It's just,
Exactly.
hey, this is a safety thing.
we are, sometimes I can see that they're a little nervous because they think I'm going to think they're less of a man,
Mhm.
but with my ability just to say you're my student and I'm going to treat you just like any other student,
Mhm.
I really do having the guys come for their private
And
lessons.
I think that's why men
That's pretty cool.
like working our matches and like coming to our events in the first place. Is it doesn't have the macho stuff that's going on in general, and they can just be themselves, and they can be helpful, and they can be encouraging, and
Yep.
it's just a completely different
Well,
vibe.
and it keeps me fresh because the conversations I'm having with the females and the issues that they deal with, I can have the conversations with the guys to be like, so when you're with your wife or your daughter or your son and your family, here's the things that they're dealing with, and vice versa. I can have that conversation where maybe they're not having the conversation, and I can inspire them to go home and
Well, you don't have,
do that.
a whole lifetime of little conflicts and like trying to avoid and keeping everything on the mellow, right?
Correct.
You come from, this is
this
the,
is the
this
plan.
is the facts.
This is how you need to go home
Yeah.
and get your family on board.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the last thing I wanted to talk about with you ladies is we touched on a little bit the concept of a ladies only match. So I'll be honest, like I looking around 3-gun matches and shooting so many of them, and I see like the warm, welcoming environment. I didn't understand like why you would want to have a ladies only match. Because I'm like, why wouldn't you just come over here? This is a great match. These people are so cool. Everyone's really nice. But after, one day of shooting with your staff, like I got it. Watching the ladies cheer for each other when not even in like a shooting accomplishment of getting into the back of the pickup truck, of climbing the tower, of climbing over that weird tank looking thing that probably shouldn't be there. It was interesting. It was an eye opener, and I had like a whole 180-degree turn. Like, okay, I was
I'm
really
so
wrong on
glad.
this one.
I'm so glad because a lot of people don't understand what we're trying to do.
Well,
Yeah.
and one thing that we hadn't talked about in our culture is that we really do deal with the woman as a whole. It's not just the shooting sports. We find that women come to the table with lots of head trash, with either a negative.
I'm not good enough. I don't think I can do it.
Yeah.
I can't spend this much money on myself. I can't take time away from the family.
And so when we see them accomplish what they think they are not smart enough or not capable enough, and we explain how simple marksmanship is, and if you understand the components that you can do it, and they hit the bullseye, they're like, oh. Well, then we see them go into other parts of their lives and flourish. We've seen women change careers. We've seen marriages change, either get better or
We
go
remind
away.
these women that they have value. Kind of like when you're in the airplane, you have to put your own mask on first. And
Right.
so many of these women are focused on, their careers or their families or any other thing instead of themselves. And we give them permission to invest in their gear and take the time and tell them you're worth defending your life. Like, you're worth it. We need you around. Your family wants you around. And sometimes just giving them that permission it changes everything
So
for them.
we've, not only become firearms instructors, but we've also somewhat become life coaches or communication coaches. And out of that, we developed a program called Tactical Fufu. And we wrote a shooting journal 2 years ago. And so part of the journal is the marksmanship side,
Tactical.
the tactical. This is how, this is why, this is what you need.
Ballistic stuff.
This is the words. And then we have the fufu. How are you feeling today? Did you track your, just like any other shooting journal, when you're tracking your ballistics and you're tracking the time of day and the weather and, did you eat? We go one step further and we're like,
What did I do best? What did I do worse? Where can I set goals? How can I improve so
what
that
was the good, the bad, the unique?
Yeah,
Nice.
so that a year from now, when I redo the dot torture, I can see not only how my groupings have gotten smaller, but how my confidence has gotten larger.
Right.
And now we have a metrics to base that on.
So we've developed a whole mastermind program that ladies are taking with our communication coach. They're working their journal. They're working this program.
It's called 90 Days to Your Badass Life.
Yeah.
Get women off the sidelines. If you want a goal, if you want to shoot Fall Fest, we'll get you there. We'll get you the training. We'll get you the gear. We'll tell you where to go. And we'll clear out that head trash so that you can succeed.
Very cool.
Yeah,
So-
we're pretty proud about that. That's another
Yeah.
thing that just makes us unique.
We not
If
only want
someone's
to make
interested in that, how do they find it?
it's on our website at agirlandagun.org.
Okay.
They can search for Mastermind, or they can see it in the events on the events section. And
Or
yeah,
just
so
send us a message and we'll tell you what we'll tell you what your options are. We have a shooting journal page for our members, so that if the girls that are actively working, every member gets a PDF download of how many pages is our journal?
it's 100 and something pages.
It's a book.
Wow.
It's
It's
registered.
It's got live fire, dry fire, and journaling drills for every month. So there's,
Based around our value statement of the month.
right. So everything it kind of works as your own personal instructor and friend to guide you, so that, while you're working on your own goals, it has, if you want to make a fit to fight goal, like I'm going to make some fitness goals so that I can be sure and, do this kind of match,
Sure.
or even just fitness for, in general. We have ways for you to set goals, and, this is an expensive hobby, so you need to set budget goals too. You can't just buy everything in September if you're going to shoot a match in October,
And not eat.
Yeah, right. So we kind of try to give women these tools to set their goals so that they can reach them, so that they're not saying, oh, well, I missed it, I'll do it next year.
Mm-hmm.
We want to get them off the sidelines. Let's start making these, give you milestones so that we can get you out there and we can help you. And
So it's October now. We start again in March. Be ready for 3GU if that's what you want to do. Come to
Right.
conference. And
that's the whole thing we're trying to do, is not just make better shooters, but really make more empowered women. Because
Right.
when we have more empowered women, we have more empowered families and more empowered communities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that whole teach a woman to read thing. You teach a woman to read, and you teach a family to read.
Yeah, generation. And we see that, we've had instructors go and write merit badge programs for the Girl Scouts. We've had,
Wow.
we've seen life-changing things that affect, we have a lot of junior shooters, and, we're talking generations, and it's very inspiring, and we're really proud. I'll get all mushy again.
yeah, I'm getting overclumped over here.
It's very cool. So what's next for A Girl and a Gun?
Oh boy, we talk about that all the time.
Well, we have kind of the Eye of Mordor is focused on this match through the rest of today, and then it'll shift to
and
conference.
some of the things that we've been talking about for 2018 is I could literally have 2 events every month, and she's told me no, and I said that's probably a good idea because I get cranky and I melt down a little bit privately. I cry in the corner, I'm tired, but
I do that too when I'm tired.
we have a very personal mission that I think we're gonna work on championing for 2018 to continue our mission of getting women involved in the shooting sports, but then also get back to some of our charitable giving roots. And it's, it involves Robyn's family.
My daughter's been battling brain cancer for the past 2 years, and I've kind of always handled it privately.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is a community effort, as much as this is a job and this is something that I do, but this is my life. These women are, sisters to me, and this is really a heart mission.
When she had surgery for the first time, we were at a national conference all together praying under a tent.
Oh.
Yeah, Kiara was rushed into emergency surgery. Her brain was herniating when she was diagnosed, and it was right before national conference, and she was still in ICU, and the nurses assured me she was stable, so my mother-in-law stayed with her, so my husband and mother took me out to say hi to the women at conference briefly. And I was only there a few minutes, and this rainbow covered the tent.
We have a picture of it.
It was really surreal, and it was, I really believe that God put the most powerful women in one place to be prayer warriors. I wouldn't have made it through that time. And so our motto is, it's more than shooting, because it's fun, it's empowering, it's friendships, it's all this stuff. And on a personal level, I wouldn't have made it through those really hard days without having really strong women telling me, you got this, it'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's when people don't understand our culture, that's really the heart of it. We're just genuine, we're real. And I'm finally to the place where there's a lot of foundations doing good work for pediatric brain cancer. What I want to do is raise awareness, because unfortunately my daughter lost her vision. She's completely blind because of the tumor. And I kick myself because if she was diagnosed sooner, she would have her vision.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want another mom to go through that. So I want to use this platform of this sisterhood to tell other moms, here are the signs for pediatric brain tumors, and just get some awareness.
And hopefully raise a little bit of money, because Robyn told me the other day that there has not been any new medicine. There's not been any.
Yeah.
Mm.
Her
Seems
chemo
that-
her chemo treatment is the same that's been used for the past 50 years. the federal budget doesn't go towards pediatric cancer. It only goes towards adult cancer. And it's frustrating for me as a mother to see my 7-year-old going through 61 now weeks of chemo while, there's so many Viagra and Cialis and all these other drugs being developed for things that are not as important as my daughter's brain, and I want her to grow up.
So we're going to work on and hosting some kind of event, or maybe, even at Fall Fest next year, we'll have a focus that somehow we can bring awareness to this and maybe raise some money for, our charity of choice that's working very hard to do the research and, just bring this back around to our heart mission. I mean, this is the life we live every day and do Girl in a Gun every day. And our members know that this is a real part of our daily lives, and they want to be supportive of that. So hopefully we can do a little good work.
I gotcha. Well, where do you see the sport of 3-gun headed?
Oh gosh, you know what? Sports change all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The ladies are starting to buzz about PRS. They're starting to buzz about PCC, and we will. If they want to learn, we will pull in the people. We will create the events to make it happen. I mean, that's kind of what we do. We listen to what they want to do, and I go creatively build something, and
I start emailing people and
building websites around it. And so we're going to follow the trends of the sport. And, I think 3-gun is going to evolve a little bit, or, maybe become a little bit more outlaw again, kind of like how it was. And so that we definitely have a place there.
And there's definitely a rise in female participation, and I think that'll continue to go up.
5 years ago, I kind of brainstormed the shooting sports experience, which is kind of what the NRA did, just a couple weeks ago with that big match that they
NRA
had.
World Shoot.
Yeah, and I think it would be fun to do something similar to that, on our level, a smaller level, so that it's a little bit more accessible. Is shoot the IDPA, shoot the USPSA, shoot the Steel Challenge, shoot the 3-gun, because these ladies have so many different flavors, and not all of them are 3-gun shooters. So if we can open up other opportunities, sporting clays. Our Pennsylvania girls are sporting clay crazy up there, and
it just lets people see what else is out there.
We want to give them opportunities to come to an event too that is their passion.
Yeah, and if your home is Rock Castle, you can do all of that here.
Absolutely,
right.
Exactly. Especially with the new sporting clay run that's going to be coming in. So that opens up all new opportunities for next year.
Yeah, very cool. Well, ladies, this has been a ton of fun, and I do appreciate you having me out here. This has been so cool. So if you guys can leave the audience with just one thought or one piece of advice, what would it be?
It's more than shooting.
Yeah, I would say if you are curious about trying, if there's a woman in your life who is scared of guns or curious about guns or has never shot before,
or needs some female friends that are like-minded,
find a local chapter and
or start one.
We grow
when women step into leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's not a chapter by you, we just need a qualified gal to join our mission.
That's
very
right.
cool.
We'll coach her along the way. It's life-changing stuff. I'm glad you got to experience that.
Yeah, this is great. This is a ton of fun. It was cool watching all the ladies interact and everything on their squads, and especially with like their squad moms and their pro liaisons or whatever you call them. And it's a really cool experience. So thanks for having me out here. I really enjoy what you guys are doing. I think this is a cool concept. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Hey, before you take off, check out the show notes at 3gunshow.com/episode 156 for links to things that we discussed in the podcast. You can also sign up on Patreon as a 3Gun Show supporter or purchase your very own 3Gun Show logo tee. As always, this podcast is brought to you by Armalite. Armalite has allowed me to get special pricing for listeners on their line of 3-gun rifles, both the 13.5 and the 18-inch, as well as their competition handguards, gas blocks, and tunable muzzle brakes. If you're in the market for a rifle or components to build your own, just email me, dave@3gunshow.com, and I will hook you up. And of course, anytime you see me on the range, you can check out my rifle. I'm currently rocking the 13.5-inch 3-gun rifle with a Vortex Viper PST 1-6 on it. And a quick reminder that if you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe at iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcast content, so you will always get the very latest. And tap that review button while you're at it. Leave us 5 stars, positive comment, and that helps us bump up in the rankings so more people like you and I can find the show. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman. and I'll see you on the range.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.